Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Liberties Ask Me Anything podcast series on YouTube. It's a brand new podcast series I decided to start. And really what it is ask me any questions that you have, post them in the comments below, and I'll answer them. Now, I decided to actually do this whole series kind of in a walk and talk or while I'm out and about in Puerto Vallarta and recording them. And the whole purpose of it is you ask your questions about Mexico, whether it's finance related or otherwise. I'll answer it as the best of my ability. So in this week's Ask Me Anything, we've had several questions about crypto in Mexico. So we're going to cover that, as well as starting a business and a particular type of business that someone wanted coverage on. What I thought about the international trade relations between Mexico and the US and Canada. So we'll be discussing that as well as what I think is happening in the manufacturing sector in Mexico. So there's a few topics that we're going to be discussing in today's show. So let's get right into it. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around so that you guys get to see the view that I see while I'm here in Mexico. But while I do that, we'll just turn it around a little. The sun's bright, so you get a bit of a view of the beaches here. And opportunistically, I decided to do the first show right on the beach. So I'm going to get into it. We're going to turn the camera around and we'll start answering your questions. So I don't know if they're fighting or mating. Maybe a bit of both. Seems how the world goes right now. But it's cute in a way. So the first question we're going to discuss is crypto. I mean, it's a hot topic. Everyone's interested. I've been pulling up some data and statistics on the usage of crypto in Mexico. Seems to be growing, especially with stable coins. And the question really was, what crypto exchanges are available in Mexico and what I think of them. And obviously, this person wanted to stay away from several of the main ones, which I guess is okay, but there are risks if you really take look at crypto in unknown exchanges. The best, obviously, for crypto is if you own it yourself in a private cold storage wallet that you have full control over. So I always recommend that. The next best option is to use an online exchange, but you hold the keys. It's private. There's no other access into it, no trading. It's just simple buy and sell cryptos. And Atomic or Exodus is a good example of those kinds of exchanges. Oh, by the way, this is one of my favorite beach bars that I come to. It's called Barracuda and Solar right beside it. Very busy at nighttime, not so much right now. But yeah, going back to the exchanges. So if obviously first, get yourself the crypto on your own private wallet, private exchanges if you can. But for whatever reason, if you want to go on to a regular type of exchange, and that could be just for trading. I use two exchanges here in Mexico that I set up down here that I use. One is for trading and leverage trading in particular. And then the other is to actually transfer funds, crypto funds, into the Mexican bank account. So we're going to be discussing both of those right now. I'm an affiliate of both of these, but then again, so is anyone who has an account with them. You can use affiliate codes if anyone has these accounts. So if you do decide to open up an exchange or open up an account on these exchange, I will have the affiliate links to my affiliate relationship with them in the description below. It'll be a link to the Financial Liberties website with the affiliate page, and there I have a list of a bunch of different affiliates that I'm connected with. But the first one that I use is, obviously, if you already own crypto and you like to trade crypto using leverage, which I do sometimes, then I use Pionex. It was very easy to set up. They required very little KYC, just a cell phone number. Open up the account. You can connect an email if you'd like. Open up the account, transfer your crypto into it, and boom, you're off to the races in trading. Now, why I like it is certain cryptos have huge options for leverage trading. I mean, it's a dangerous way to play sometimes. Your accounts can get wiped out, but hopefully you can hear me. The waves are kind of crashing in. But that being said, if you manage your trades well and do leverage trading, then sure, it's a great option. And so that's the first one. The next one is Bitso. And this is the more important one. If you're down here in Mexico, have crypto, and you need to exchange it to pesos. So Bitso does require some KYC in order to do that. It's very basic. Essentially, you upload your ID, your Mexican ID, to their system, or I did. And so you upload it to the system, they verify it, and very shortly thereafter, your account gets open. From there, you connect your bank account to them. I've connected my Actinver account to them as well as my BBVA, and I had no issues. And then you deposit your crypto into it, transfer it from wherever into there. Then what you do is there's an option to convert those cryptos to pesos, and once you do that, you can actually deposit them into your bank account. Transactions are pretty much instantaneously. Within a couple of minutes, you'll have your money in the bank account, which is great. And yeah, it's fairly easy. I mean, there is a limitation to that. So if you are setting up your bank account and you do your basic KYC, which I did, then your withdrawal limit or your withdrawals on a monthly basis are limited. I think it's 30 to 35,000 pesos. I'll put the exact amount after, but it's probably enough for you to meet all your basic living needs here in Mexico, especially while you're taking a siesta on the beach in the morning. Gotta love that. But yeah, so essentially there is a limit. If you need that increased for whatever reason, then you have to do further KYC with them, which includes verifying income. Then the dollar amounts go up significantly for it. So, but for just your basic transfer and basic monthly needs, you know, if you can do it within 35,000 pesos, and I believe that's the number, then you should be fine. So, yeah, it's very simple, easy process. The next exchanges are your typical larger ones. Binance is one, Kraken is another. There's a few others, and I'll put the list into this video that you may want to consider, but I'm just recommending the two that I use because I know them. I did have a Binance account at one point while I was in Canada. They required KYC at that point, so I decided no, that's not for me. So I ended up moving funds to private wallets, and now I'm using these as just for transferring funds around or trading. So that's pretty much it for the actual exchanges. Now, crypto in Mexico itself, I'm going to touch on it very quickly, but I did an interview with Bernardo Gonzalez from Actinver, and we discussed the Mexican economy, various other topics, and obviously my interest in crypto is pretty high, so I asked him about some of the rules and regulations in and around crypto here in Mexico. And essentially, and I did some research myself, but essentially there is no rules and regulations. It's an unregulated market. So all of these exchanges that you can open accounts on, they're not from Mexico. There's no official policy on crypto within Mexico. So until that changes, you know, you're kind of in that gray area. So if you decide to report your crypto tradings or you don't, I don't think it makes a difference. Oh, another major exchange is MEXC, MEXC. That's an international one. They also are popular here in Mexico. However, they did require some KYC and yeah, a tax ID, and I didn't have that so at the time, so I really didn't bother. But yeah, going back to the rules and regulations here in Mexico on crypto itself. So again, it's unregulated. But that being said, in another previous interview with Bernardo last year from Actinver, we started talking about crypto in the Q&A session, and he's told me that there are ways you can actually buy property and homes here with crypto. The notary, which does the actual transfer titles and verification of the property, they really don't verify what funds are getting transferred, their dollar amounts, or where the source is coming from. So if you can find essentially a seller who is willing to take crypto, then yeah, you can buy property down here using it. Now, it's obviously going to be a little more challenging to find some seller who will accept it unless they're already into crypto, which is great. But you know what? I think that's all going to change over the coming years. The adoption of it's happening. The adoption of stablecoins is happening. So you'll see that change here. And Mexico's finance system is actually getting revamped quite a bit, especially with the rules and regulations. Bernardo and I talked about that in our latest interview, which is up on this channel, and I suggest you listen to it completely because him and I discussed various topics, but in particular on the new changes with Actinver on their rules and regulations. It's getting a little more tighter and stricter in light of what's happened with Intercam. And so that'll probably go into my next question to answer. Someone did mention something about Intercam and what's happened recently. If you haven't been paying attention, then you know that Intercam and CI Banco had issues with the security, with the U.S. Treasury Department. They essentially blocked all the funds in for account holders with Intercam, and many of the account holders still have had difficulties moving money in and out of it, especially from abroad. So from what I understand, that is all getting resolved this month. What happened with Intercam is they got bought out, or they actually got taken over by Capital Bank, Capital with a K. And the merger and acquisition is getting completed as we speak. Maybe by next month, everything should be fine is what I'm hearing. I actually spoke with a rep from Capital Bank, used to be Intercam, and she was a rep here in Puerto Vallarta with Intercam, and she's telling me that everything should be fine for next month. In fact, some people are already having access to their accounts, from what I understand. So that's pretty good. Now, I actually asked her if it would be possible to do an interview with them, and she is going to run it up the flagpole to see if I can actually maybe get an interview done with the CEO of Intercam, if not someone else at a C-suite level or herself. But that probably won't happen till the end of sometime next month, just because they're in the closing of the merger, and pretty much their lips are pretty tight on what they can speak about publicly besides what they put out in press releases. So I'm hoping next month that I will be able to do an interview with them, and that'll be good. So that's kind of the topic on Intercam and that. Oh, here's a friend of mine. Hola.
Hola, how you doing?
Good. You want to be on YouTube?
No.
You sure? You have any questions about Mexico? I'm talking about it.
I'm good, thanks.
You're good. Hola, how are you? Can I put the dog on YouTube?
Sure.
Hola, say hi. Well, you can't really say hi. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? I know you. Do you remember me? Cool. I'll talk to you later. Say hi to your husband.
It's right there.
Oh, he's right there.
It's with the other one.
Does he want to be on YouTube?
You can put Cabo on. He's very cheap.
Dog. No, not dog.
Rio and the dog is Cabo.
Neil? Dale, sorry. Hi Dale, how are you? You want to say hi to the YouTube world?
Pardon?
You want to say hi to the YouTube world?
That's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Maybe Cabo wants to be. Cabo, you want to be part of YouTube?
He's probably on it.
He's too busy with the ball. Cabo, come here. Let's see if I'll throw you the ball. Nope, doesn't look like he wants to play with me. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right, so the next question that we're going to be looking at is setting up a business here in a particular type of business. Someone is interested in opening up a coin-operated car wash and asked me my thoughts on it. Knew anything about it? Well, I don't know anything about the car wash business itself besides probably very, very lucrative back home in Canada and the US. I do see quite a few of them here in Mexico, but it seems like car washes with full service, you know, someone actually going in there, cleaning your car, doing it all for you, is more of what I've seen in Mexico. Now, that being said, I have seen many or several coin-operated ones, or ones that are kind of located not directly in a gas station, even though you see some of those, but maybe just a self-cleaning car washes. And so, yeah, they are viable, I guess, as a business. You know, you'd have to look at the type of investment you're going to put into it, plus the return you're going to get out of it. My only question is the labor rates so cheap here? Can you get someone to manually hose down your car, clean it properly, vacuum it, versus the cost of setting up the car wash between buying the land, building the facility itself, all the equipment? It's probably capital intensive, I would think. I don't know how much it is, but you're gonna have to determine what kind of payback you're gonna expect on that. So that's something else to look at. Is it a viable business? Sure, any business is viable in Mexico. I mean, it's an emerging market. I think the growth opportunities for all businesses are great here, and that's why I'll be covering more on the topic, and how to set up businesses, or what's required to operate one legally. Buying a business is another thing with the brokerage, business brokerage service that I'm offering. So if anyone's interested in actually buying an established cash generating revenue generating cash flowing business, I have several already, and I'll be looking for more over the coming months. So that's the next option versus starting your own. Obviously, when you're starting a business here, the first thing you're going to need is an accountant to help you get it set up, registered with SAT and all that. A lawyer is always a good idea. Make sure you're complying with all the laws and based on the type of business you're going to be setting up. And the final, most important thing is the notary, because he's the one that's actually going to register your business, and all documentation that's around it is going to be there. Now, the one thing I will mention, and I've heard stories having conversations with others, is when you actually go to set up your business, you want to ensure with the notary that every possible detail of what you're going to be doing in that business is covered in that document that you sign with them or get registered. Because if you go outside of it, people can complain, and they'll either tax you heavily, or there could be issues. And that's if someone complains saying you're doing something that was outside of the scope and nature of your business. So that's just something to remember. So yeah, there you go. I mean, there's going to be more topics we'll be discussing on our channel with regards to setting up and operating a business in Mexico. But you know, again, that's for a future video. So that's that. Now, was there any other questions? I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. So the next question was, about Mexico-US-Canada relations. Obviously, we've seen what's happened recently with the US government imposing tariffs on both Canada and Mexico. It's been put on hold, but there is already a tariff in place with Mexico for any goods that are outside of the USMCA trade agreement, which used to be the free trade agreement, the North American Free Trade Agreement. So, you know, there was an extension given. It's still continuing to give. I suspect as long as nothing major materializes and things start to get cleaned up here, I think Trump's big thing with the tariff and increasing it in Mexico is really to stop the flow of drugs and the cartels, and this is why we're seeing the drug and cartel war between the U.S. government and Mexico. And Mexico's actually been pretty good in complying, because they've extradited, I think it was about 30 high-level narco people to the U.S. that are now getting prosecuted there. So I think he sees that happening. But then again, you know, Trump's down in Venezuela doing things. So until that kind of gets alleviated and stuff, the tariff issue will always be there. Trade will always be there. I mean, Mexico is is Canada's largest trading partner in terms of exports from Mexico to into the U.S., not Canada. But I did hear talks about Mexico increasing trade with Canada. My thing I've always been saying is Mexico needs to start looking internationally. They should set up really other trade agreements with other Latin American countries and then other regions around the world. And why is because Mexico now is becoming a great manufacturing hub, which is the last subject we're going to be discussing, is manufacturing in Mexico, because that was something that was also asked. So we've seen a lot of movement from China, even Germany and a few other places, Japan, moving manufacturing production facilities in Mexico. It's still booming. There's a lot of foreign direct investment that's coming into Mexico. In fact, Bernardo has been hearing from Actinver, has been hearing a lot more capital flow coming in, and it's not just your retail investor coming in. It's fund managers, fund managers, VC money, and I've seen it a lot. VC money is going into fintech quite a bit. There's actually about 4 or 5 companies that have been set up to invest into fintech plays or SaaS plays. So that's kind of a big trend right now. If you got a business in that right now, you could actually probably raise tons of capital if it's established. So that's a good thing. But manufacturing in general is not going away. I mean, Mexico has labor costs are significantly cheaper than the U.S. In fact, they're actually cheaper than China. So it's becoming a big portal for manufacturing. There's manufacturing hubs getting set up all in Mexico quite a bit more in the northern regions, closer to the border of Texas, Monterrey area, and around there. So I don't suspect that's actually going to change. So that's really about it for that. It's something we'll cover more on in the channel, and I don't think there's any other questions I need to discuss at the moment. But yeah, so I think that's it for this week's episode. So I think that's it for this week's episode. We've covered quite a few questions that have come in on the comment sections. So if you'd like your questions answered, make sure you leave a comment below. The comments that get the most likes are going to get answered. So don't forget to like other people's questions, and we'll cover them on next week's Ask Me Anything About Mexico. Also, if you do follow our channel on Mondays, we do a Mexico Money and Markets News Weekly. So it's a weekly podcast covering the hottest topics and the latest developments in the Mexican financial markets, the economy, anything that I find of interest. And I've got some exciting news that I'll share over the weekend or early on Monday, probably in that channel itself or in that podcast itself. Very excited about this. And then we do have some interviews lined up. Next week I'm speaking with someone who lives in Mexico, works in the finance space in the US mostly. Him and I had a great conversation about the need for financing and capital down here. And so we'll be discussing that, the great fundamentals and the demographics of Mexico, why we're both bullish on the Mexican economy overall for the next 15, 20 years, and other topics about, that we find of interest. I'm also going to be doing a second interview for the main channel, the Financial Liberties channel, where we're going to be discussing fintech, banking, as well as the lending and how it's moving to blockchain technologies, what he's seeing in that space. And there's a few other topics that we're going to be discussing on that video. So if you are interested in fintech and what's happening in the world of crypto and the lending space, the commercial lending in particular, watch for that video on the main Financial Liberties channel. It'll probably be up towards the end of the week. And that's pretty much it for all the exciting news. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you over the weekend. See you later. Bye.